I'm Jasmine, and I am doing my presentation on accents. Um, it was a lot of fun doing the research for this just because I found a lot of information about where accents come from and that kind of thing. So it's very interesting to do. I think I chose this topic mainly because just from doing a lot of the observation hours this semester for another one of the education classes, I kind of became acquainted with a lot of the different, accents and languages that were present in each classroom that I observed. I really just think that, language is everywhere. It's beautiful. I love how everyone sounds different from one another. And it's funny because a lot of people kind of are in denial that they have an accent, which is another reason why I chose this. I know that some people in my family like to think that they don't have an accent themselves, so it's just really funny to kind of do research on such a controversial topic. Each and every one of us that speaks a language has an accent, whether we want to admit it or not. It's not a bad thing, it's just we all carry an accent, which I think is really neat. This topic really reminds me of the term ethnocentrism, just how people think that their particular cultural group or background is above another one, or they're considered the normal cultural group or ethnic group. It's just kind of the same with accents. Kind of people think that the way that they talk is like the norm for wherever they are. But each and every one of us has an accent, and it's not a bad thing. Like I said before, it's just kind of the way that it is. It's basically just a way of pronouncing a language. That's what an accent is. Where do they come from? There's a lot of factors influencing where, different accents come from. Things like age, environment, your peers, your location, who you're hanging out with. There's several different factors that can influence a person's accent. When, I guess, language learners, as far as like environment goes, when language learners are placed into an environment where they are learning like a second language, like the language that's spoken in that place that they're put into is not their native language, they tend to change based off where they are. So this goes for age as well. These all these factors kind of go in together. Age, environment, peers, location. So if you're, say, for example, I use this example all the time because it's one of my favorites. If you are placed into an immersion school, for an example, and you are learning, a second language that's not, your native language, you tend to pick up on the accent of the language being taught because that's what you're used to hearing. Like it just kind of, you become accustomed to that language. And then as well for, this, relates to ESL students as well, because a lot of students, come from different countries. Some students come from, their native countries or, wherever they were born. And then some, I know some students kind of travel all over. So they, whatever job, their parents have or whatever, they just kind of go from place to place, and just wherever they are, they kind of pick up on that accent. So, a lot of younger children, can hold different accents than their parents because during the school day they're kind of placed in an environment or around people that speak differently from their parents, so they're around them so much that they become accustomed to that different accent. So accents come from different places, again, like I said, and also each of us are members of certain social groups, and we generally tend to behave and speak the way that people in our social groups, do. And sometimes this can mean that your accent can change, if you're kind of moving around social groups or you move locations. Sometimes we get different friends or we move neighborhoods, and things like that, or if we, move out of town. So just whoever you're kind of around is who, we generally behave like and speak like. Basically, it's just really important to know that several different types of accents can come from the same language. I know that a lot of people kind of think that like the normal accent for like English is that traditional like American accent, and that's not true. There are a lot of different ways that English can be spoken. I know that a lot of my family members tease me about me being the countryest in the family. I'm not really sure where it came from or anything, but we all speak the same language, but some of us just speak it differently. And that goes for family members that we have that live in different parts of the country as well. We have our Kentucky family that kind of is considered country, or our family that lives in New Jersey, New York, that's kind of more northern. They like to make fun of us a lot, but it's just it's important to know that not everyone that speaks the same language is going to have that same accent. And then as far as teaching English as a second language goes, I think the topic of accents is really important for us to keep into consideration in our classrooms, because a lot of our students are going to come from different places. We might have several students that are Hispanic, that obviously speak Spanish, but there are so many different dialects and so many different accents that come with that language, that it's important to kind of differentiate between all of those accents. And it's also really good, to be sensitive to where people come from, and not to be so judgmental against certain languages, like just because she speaks Spanish, then she's this way, or he's from a part of Asia, so he speaks this way. It's just really important to kind of keep in mind the different backgrounds. And a lot of students, I know that in some of the classrooms that I observed this semester, they switch schools every few years because of the type of position that their parents are in. So they might sound different than your, I guess, average or normal person from whatever area they're from. And I think also for English as a second language educators, it's important for language and accents to be discussed, like in the classroom. Like, okay, for example, we could do like an exercise that has to do with accents, like talk about all the different dialects that come with everyone's language. And I've also learned that it's good to incorporate people's backgrounds in the classroom. I know that a lot of times students it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable if they are able to share where they come from and kind of talk about their story and things like that. That's really important to incorporate those kind of things into the classroom, just so that students are more understanding and they're not so stuck on, oh, I'm only going to talk to people that speak the same language as me or that come from the same background as me. It's just really important. So like I said, there's a lot of factors that influence accents, and it's just important for us as educators to be aware of all those. And I think that's basically it. I had a lot of fun, doing the research on this. My paper, I think, turned out to be pretty full of information. And that's pretty much all I have. Thanks, guys.